It's time for
DodgerHeads.
Dodgers have won it all in 2020. Shohei Ohtani, 50-50 club. Strikes him out. There's a drive. Shohei Ohtani. Freeman hits the ball. She is gone. Birds of party, Los Angeles. Your Dodgers have won the World Series.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into DodgerHeads Live, presented by DodgerBlue.com, part of the Medium Large Sports Network. My name is Jeff Spiegel, joined tonight by Anthony Witrado, and the Dodgers win in convincing fashion in some ways, Anthony, and in the least convincing fashion in other ways.
Yeah. I feel about as bad as you could feel, I guess, for what was kind of a blowout win. And like none of the stars got hurt, you know, your guy on the mound shoved it. And it still feels like, okay.
Yeah. Dodgers jump out to an 8-0 lead in this game through 6 innings. The bullpen proceeds to struggle. Blake Snell struggles in the 7th inning. The bullpen struggles in the 8th inning. And things got tight. As the announcer said, we did not expect to hear the tying run is on deck of this game. But in a game that was once 8-0, that was, in fact, the case. Fortunately for everybody here, the Dodgers survive. They take a 1-0 lead in the wild card series, thanks in part to this 10-5 game. The heroes tonight, Teoscar Hernández, Shohei Ohtani, and the aforementioned Blake Snell. So lots to get into for this one, as well as chat about tomorrow's game and whether or not the Dodgers can finish this one off and get that bullpen rested. As always, we want to give a shout out and say thank you to everybody hopping in with us live on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, those listening to the podcast after the fact, Apple, Spotify, and Google. We appreciate you. We got a bunch of super chats to get to. Of course, again, we're going to talk Teoscar, Ohtani, and Blake Snell as well. Saki Bomb with the first super chat. How is it we're up 10-2, and after 3 batters in the 8th, I'm worried about this game? Anthony, I joked when it was 5-0 that they just needed to double the lead and I would feel good. Thankfully, they doubled it because the bullpen ends up getting this game to 5 runs allowed.
Yeah. Look, I thought, should we get into the bullpen stuff now?
I mean, let's do it. The bullpen in this game, 2 innings, 3 hits, 3 earned, 4 walks, and 3 strikeouts. They set a record for pitches in an inning in the 8th. I believe it was 57 or 59 maybe between Vesia, Enriquez, and Jack Dreyer in order to get 3 outs. I mean, Dreyer kind of did his job, but Vesia and Enriquez were a disaster.
Yeah. And Dreyer didn't make it look easy.
He did.
Even though
he walked in the first guy and then got 2 outs.
Right. Yeah. Look, it's a 10-2 lead when Snell comes out for good. I didn't expect this, but I thought really good opportunity to throw Tanner Scott here.
Yep. I agree completely.
And it's a late game situation, so you could sort of paint it a little bit as that, but it's lower leverage, right? They don't do that. So then I figured they wouldn't do that. Then my next thought was, let's let Robo take down these next 2 innings.
Yep.
And then he's the only guy you're going to burn tonight.
Yep.
He can go get you 6 outs. Because like I said on Sunday.
And he throws strikes, by the way. If there's one thing Robleski does is he throws strikes.
He's in the zone. Right, exactly. And you're counting outs here. You're not counting innings, but this gives you an opportunity to sort of, hey, no fuss, no muss, kind of get one guy out there. Let's go take them all down. And we move on to tomorrow with basically a full bullpen. And so he brings out Vesia, who coming into the playoffs was probably one of the top branches of the trust tree that we were watering, and he looks terrible.
And real quick, like Vesia is an adrenaline guy, so I hated bringing him into a blowout. Like you were setting him up for failure, because if there's one guy who needs leverage, if there's one guy who needs the juice, it's Vesia on one hand, and the second hand is he's been terrible on back-to-back. So by using Vesia in a 10-2 game, not only do you get the worst version of him, but he threw so many pitches, 22. He's not available for tomorrow night either.
Right. Then you bring in a guy who's had his own issues with the strike zone lately with a bunch of runners on base.
Yeah. 7 strikes and 11 balls for Edgardo Enriquez.
Yeah, and I understand there, like, at that point, you still don't want, like, an Emmett Sheehan warming up, which eventually did have to happen. He didn't come into the game, but he got up. So you understand a bit with the Enriquez decision, but it's still like, man, asking him to get these last 2 outs with the bases loaded or whatever the situation was when he came in feels untenable.
Yeah.
And you that bullpen's been exposed. And you can talk about, they're confident now and all you want, but that inning right there cannot give anyone in the dugout confidence.
Yeah. I'm with you.
It was ugly. And at least Treinen came in and he looked fine. But yeah, it was like I said, it turned a very celebratory game 1 into, oh boy, can we keep doing this for another month?
Yeah. And the answer is no.
No,
but I'm with you. I mean, Enriquez of all guys to bring in with the bases loaded, the guy who has like the biggest command issues in the entire bullpen, who's left out there. Again, I am not excusing Alex Vesia. I am not excusing Enriquez. I was just surprised by both of those decisions, that those were the guys they went to in that spot, because that seemed like the lowest leverage spot possible. And I know it's a 3-game series, and so you just manage like you need to win every single game no matter what. But man, it backfired on the Dodgers. So more bullpen talk to come, I'm sure. Bacon Tree, 10-2, bullpen decides to walk everyone. Pathetic. Dave might as well have just started a long relief guy or something instead. Bleep, and even with a win. Yeah, agreed. Ivan, Scott is on the roster but didn't pitch. The arrogance of the front office to put their ego over team success is wild. Bonda deserved better. That was one of the interesting talking points, and I know Scott Gierman was live today breaking down the roster decisions. Bonda was a surprise. He was on both of our rosters. The explanation, I think, if I'm giving the benefit of the doubt of the front office, is he's been really bad against righties. It's like an 800 OPS allowed against righties. And in this situation where you're not going to really get to pick a ton as far as how many guys you have to face. So I kind of, you can get me to a place of understanding how they get to Tanner Scott over Anthony Bonda. But on a night like tonight, when Anthony Bonda is not available, you're looking at some of these guys who come in and you're saying, like, Enriquez over Casparius, Enriquez over Bonda, Enriquez. Like, you just go down the list of guys I would have liked more in that spot than Enriquez. Yeah,
and like you said, I thought there's a path to get me to understand, like, why you leave him off of this particular roster against this particular opponent.
Yeah.
Especially when you have as many other lefties as you already have in the bullpen. So I was surprised because like you said, we both had him in our circle of trust here and on our roster. But I think some of the other choices were questionable too. I actually think the decision to put Will Smith on the roster, which I agree with, if he can swing the bat, I want him on there as a pinch hitter. Because I think, in my opinion, it's not really carrying 3 catchers. You're carrying 2 and a guy who can pinch hit off the bench.
And a backup DH.
Essentially, correct. And then, so I think the decision to do that probably essentially took Bonda's spot on the roster. Yeah. I don't think it was 1-to-1 there in terms of a pitcher for a pitcher. Because I think they probably had already decided to take Call and Dean, which I was fine with. None of those decisions I was like upset with. I was just surprised by the Bonda thing. And we had already known that they were going to take Tanner Scott. He was not going to be left off the roster.
Yeah.
It's just then, if you're going to do that, then you have to deploy these guys in situations where they're going to succeed. He didn't do that with Vesia because, like you said, super low leverage with the high leverage performer. Don't put him in that situation.
Yeah.
Then you put in another guy.
And the bases loaded.
The bases loaded, who has command issues and less than 2 outs. Again, not a position where he's going to succeed. And then you have to bring in Dreyer, who probably did not expect to pitch tonight when that 8th inning started. And then he comes in with one out and the bases loaded. And, like you said, he kind of got out of it, but it wasn't easy there. And I think he walked in a guy too, maybe. So yeah, I understand some of the decisions. I don't understand the decisions tonight in the game.
Aaron, one of the ickiest wins ever. This pen needs it come to Jesus moment bad. If they pitch like this, they will be the iceberg that sinks our Titanic. 300. All good vibes dashed by that gas can of a bullpen. Don't care 187. Way to ruin the good vibes bullpen. Unbelievable. Dr. V, can we agree that Enriquez and Scott should be nowhere near this roster? Look, Tanner Scott didn't do anything tonight, so our opinion on Tanner Scott hasn't changed.
Catching strays.
I don't think there's going to be any Edgardo Enriquez defenders when the NLDS comes around. And please, for the love, give me Ben Casparius over Edgardo Enriquez if I have to choose between those two. I like this from Shelly. Well, I'll come back to Shelly in a sec. 300. Might have seen the last of Enriquez this postseason. Dave was not pleased. Agree. Luis, great win, but it's over. LMAO. Phillies in 4. Look, let's get there first, okay?
Yeah.
Robert says, I was prepared to come in here full celebration mode. Instead, I'm just glad we won. All playoff teams saw this. They're salivating now. And then Michael Carrillo, bring back Casparius now. Enough of this BS. So a lot of the same theme. But then Shelly, I'm choosing positivity. Snell, amazing. Offense, insane. Dreyer, okay. Trinan, great. Like everybody said, Anthony, I think we all expected to come into this when it's 8-0, like, oh man, this is it. Like 3-game series. We're terrified of the randomness. We're terrified of the small sample size. And the Dodgers come out and they give us a snoozer. They give us a jump out to a big lead. Blake Snell is shoving like, this is going to be easy. This is going to be nice. And there's some positivity there because that's what they did. As bad as the bullpen was, guess what? They still won this game by 5 because the offense and the starting pitching was that great. And that's the recipe. I'm not saying the bullpen is going to be this bad or like to expect them to be infinitely better. I'm just saying if the offense hits like this and the starting pitching pitches like that, it might not matter all that much.
Yeah, look, if you get this kind of performance from your starter and this kind of performance from your offense, you're going to win the World Series.
Yeah.
Like if this continues for all of October, you're going to win it all. It almost doesn't matter how bad your bullpen is. With that said, I do think that the bullpen is not going to be this bad, like always, right? Like I think Enriquez might have pitched himself off of October, for the rest of the playoffs. Depending on how far they get. Once let's say they close this thing out, he's got a really, really difficult case to make to be on the DS roster here.
Yeah.
And then you have people like Sheehan, Glass now tomorrow if you absolutely need somebody to get 3 outs. Hopefully not.
Sasaki.
It's Sasaki, right? Like I think you are better off. It was just tonight was ugly and it really did kind of rain on what was otherwise a fantastic, could not ask for a better game type of performance.
Yeah, absolutely. A couple more super chats here. Rosemary says, so do we need 10 plus runs every game? ? Maybe, maybe, who knows? Hawaiian Kira, at least this game was more exciting than the rest of the games in the lineup. What a roller coaster ride today. Tomorrow, Yamamoto. Let's go. Let's talk about the offense and the positivity because there was a lot and plenty of reason for that. Shohei Ohtani leads this game off with the home run. I posted on social media. I don't know if this was unique to me. I was watching the end of the Yankees-Red Sox game. I missed the top of the first inning. The end of the Boston-New York game was great, and I was like, I'm just going to watch the end of this. Well, then they're going through the handshake line, and the bottom of the first is about to start. So I'm like, okay, flip over to ESPN2. Ohtani's up. They throw however many pitches, and I am not joking. For anybody that was on ESPN2, 1 second before the pitch that he hits out gets thrown, ESPN2, unannounced. At no point did the announcer say, hey, just a heads up, we're about to cut back over to ESPN. 1 second before Ohtani hits a home run, it just cuts immediately to a WNBA pregame show. And then I'm scrambling on YouTube TV. There's no channel up, channel down. So I find ESPN, and literally as the ball is going over the fence for Shohei Ohtani. So maybe that was a bad omen for me, Anthony, and I'm glad that not everybody seemed to have this experience, but holy crap, did I want to throw something through the wall.
I do not blame you. I have been in a similar situation before. The ESPN broadcast is horrible.
I'll say this: I was glad we didn't have the A crew. If the A crew was covering the other team, I'm glad about that because this might have been their B crew. It's better than the A crew. I'll say that.
I was just about to say that. Like the people in the booth and Alden Gonzalez, like they're all fine. I think just like the way they do replays, that like the quality was terrible as well. Like I don't know if it was just my TV or my YouTube TV, but the quality was awful. At one point I was watching with my dad and I was like, this game's not on SNLA, is it? Because I know like in the NBA they'll do local broadcasts as well for the playoffs, but they did mention that they were cutting it over. Which is why I had already changed the channel.
Okay, you were right.
So they did say something. They didn't say like in 30 seconds or whatever, but as soon as they said that, I just changed it because I did not want.
There's no way they do this in the middle of an at bat, in the middle of Shohei's at bat, to cut to a WNBA pregame show.
In your defense, that's an awful decision by them too.
Terrible.
Like the face of the game is up and you cut in the middle like that. Yeah. So all of that. But I do have a pro tip for you, Jeff. It's going to make your life much, much better, especially if you have YouTube TV. Whatever the OK or middle button, whatever your main button is on your remote, on YouTube TV, you just hold that down and it'll go back to your last channel.
Okay. All right. Good to know. See, we're
so you don't got to go scrolling through the guide there.
The good news, enough about me and my problems. The good news is, in case you missed this, Shohei Ohtani did hit a leadoff home run. I'm told that happened. I didn't get to see it live myself, but I'm told Ohtani hit a home run. The Dodgers jumped out to a 1-0 lead. It was the fourth hardest hit home run in the StatCast era. That's since 2015, 117.2 miles an hour for Shohei Ohtani off the bat. The Dodgers do strand runners on first and second. They strand a runner at second again in the bottom of the second. And I'm starting to think, oh, here we go again. Dodgers, handshake emoji, leaving runners on second base with 2 outs and not being able to cash those guys in. Yeah. Fortunately, Teoscar Hernández, who was a GOAT in the bad sense most of this season, holy smokes, did Teoscar Hernández flip the switch at the right time, because back-to-back 1-out walks for Freeman and Muncy, a wild pitch, and then Teoscar Hernández, an absolute, no doubt, laser to left field, followed immediately by a Tommy Edman slider inside that he hooks around the pole, and it's 5-0, Anthony. And that was the moment when I'm not going to say we could totally exhale because we knew the Dodgers bullpen was coming at some point, but man, did it feel a lot better to be up 5-0 than it did 1-0 earlier.
Yeah, totally. We've talked about it a bunch this season, especially when earlier in the year when the offense was going. They can just avalanche on an opposing pitching staff in a hurry, man. And that's what happened tonight. And you're right. Teo is a big difference maker in this lineup because he can do things like that. Yeah. He's not just a guy who can grind in that bat. He's not just a guy who can hit the ball through the opposite hole or something like that, right? Like he's a guy who can change the complexion of a game with the swing.
Yeah.
And they have a few of those guys, but he is a key linchpin. Like, you look at what he did last season and last October, and I think we understand exactly what his value is here. And we were hoping like the end of the regular season, Teo was going to carry through. Off to a damn good start.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, after the Dodgers have stranded a runner at second base in the first inning and the second inning, to come up with 1 out in that spot and hit a laser was huge. Again, Edman goes back-to-back. Teoscar Hernández, his second of the game in the bottom of the 5th. A 2-run home run from Shohei Ohtani in the bottom of the 6th. And it's 8-0. Teo's got 2. Ohtani's got 2. The Dodgers offense is rolling. And fortunately, they were able to add 2 more in the bottom of the 7th. Alex Call singles. Rojas comes around on an error. And then Ben Rortvedt singles and scores Alex Call. That gets them to 10, which, again, in the top of the 8th, it felt like they were going to need all 10 of those runs the way that the bullpen went. But the other guy we need to talk about is Blake Snell. 7 innings, 4 hits, 2 earned, 1 walk, 9 strikeouts. This is a little misleading in some ways because the 7th inning was such a struggle for him. The Reds get 2 runs against him in the 7th. But this was a guy who retired the first 8 batters he faced. Then he gives up a double and a walk and proceeds to retire the next 11 batters he faced. He retires 19 of the first 21 batters that he faces. Was unbelievable tonight. He had his changeup working in an unbelievable fashion. They asked Dave Roberts in the middle of the game, is this what you envision when you signed Blake Snell? And he was like, could not get the word yes out of his mouth more quickly, because he was, after Garrett Crochet was fantastic, after Tarek Skubal was fantastic, Blake Snell, for 6 innings at least, was their equal.
Yeah, he was fantastic. And I think it's why no one really batted an eyelash when they said Blake Snell game 1, Yamamoto game 2. I think that for me, I was like, man, Ohtani is very enticing in a game 1. And I know a lot of people were like, well, Yamamoto's like their true ace. He should get the ball in game 1. And like, I think people had all of those opinions and they were all valid and fair. But when it came out that it was Snell, there was also a camp that said Blake Snell should take the ball in game 1. Yeah. And everyone else went like, yeah, okay. And this is why, because I think the luxury for the Dodgers right now is all of these guys are healthy. They're all pitching well. And it's why we said, even with any of the flaws or holes or negativity that this roster might have, this rotation is going to give them at least a puncher's chance to get through and win the pennant. Yeah. And you saw exactly why with what Blake Snell did tonight. They're that good. It didn't even matter that it was the Reds. I mean, he completely made the Reds lineup look overmatched. Like they weren't even playing in the same league. Yeah. But the other thing is, like, you put a good team. They've done this to the best lineups in the league.
Yeah, absolutely. Blake Snell finished this game 39 swings. He got 19 whiffs, a 49% whiff rate. And largely in part, I tweeted about this. I couldn't stop tweeting about Blake Snell's changeup tonight. He got 20 swings on his changeup, Anthony, and 15 whiffs. 75% of the time, major league hitters swung at that pitch. They missed. And he was putting it on the outside of the plate every single time. And dudes kept thinking it was the fastball and kept swinging right over the top of it. That pitch, I mean, I try not to be hyperbolic. I acknowledge my memory is not perfect. That was as dominant as I have ever seen a singular pitch in a game that I can remember. To get 20 swings and 15 whiffs is insane behavior from Blake Snell. And to do it on this stage, in this game, in what's essentially game 5 of a 7-game series, was unbelievable from him.
He had just wonderful command of that thing too. He was able to kind of pinpoint it where he wanted, especially to right-handed hitters. And the way he's able to tunnel his pitches, you see that thing coming and it does not move back into the zone. It kind of stays on that edge. You're done for. Yep. I mean, it was so good tonight. And it made everything else just play up for him. But yeah, this is the Blake Snell that they paid for. This is a guy that the reason why they were cautious was so that he could get to this point healthy. And I think too, like, the efficiency that he showed early was just incredible. The Reds did him no favors. Like, I think their game plan was to try to go at him early.
Which is hilarious. With the Dodgers bullpen, we're like, please swing at our starters pitchers and let this guy go deep.
I would have just watched a whole bunch of strike threes and been like, you know what, we might be down 5-0, but let's just get to this pen.
Yeah, exactly. That might be a new strategy for tomorrow. We'll see. You mentioned the efficiency. I mean, he threw 16 pitches in the first 2 innings. He had 70 pitches through 6 innings. Again, the 7th inning, sort of the wheels started to come off for Snell, which was unfortunate because I'm sure you were on a bunch of text message threads where people are like, okay, just complete game this thing, Blake. Like, we don't even need to see the bullpen. Again, unfortunately, 7th inning goes sideways for him a little. He ends up giving up the 2 earned runs, blemishes the box score a little bit, but to say he did his job is an understatement.
Yeah, I think I always like that very impressive stat line just to look at it, like on Twitter or in print or something like that. But anyone who watched this game saw, like, whoa, that was just pure dominance. And, he, like you said, the 7th inning got away from him a little bit. I'm glad Doc let him finish it out though, and didn't lift him. But yeah, he got through that 5th inning, and I was like, maybe it's a night off for the bullpen. I think they drove the count up a little bit in the 6th and obviously in the 7th, so that took that out of play. But like, I had heard once he was named the game 1 guy, I had heard some shows, concerned that, like, can he even get through 5? Wow. I'm like, boy, that's not putting a lot of stake in a guy who's been one of the best pitchers in the league since he's come back.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, we said on our show, like, we don't expect him to necessarily go 7 every single time.
Yeah, I thought 6 was a really fair number for him.
Yeah.
And I think we even said Sunday, like, if he's really efficient, like, okay, but like weren't expecting that. Like, to get that extra inning out of him, was a big deal. I also think too, like, he did look gassed, and I think he's also sort of an adrenaline guy too. And I think like those long breaks, which I'm sure he'll take every day of the week. But I think those probably didn't help him exactly either.
Yeah, it's a great point. That 7th, he gets the ground out. Again, that was the 11th consecutive batter that he retired. Then it's a single, a ground out, nearly a double play that would have gotten him out of the inning. But
anyone else, he's out of that inning with the shutout.
Totally. And then run scores there, RBI double from Stevenson, and then he gets a ground out to finish that inning. So again, Blake Snell, fantastic for the Dodgers tonight. They're hopeful Yoshinobu Yamamoto can replicate that tomorrow. Some more super chats. Aaron says, I can be good. Go ahead.
Real quick before Aaron's super chat. This is the other thing too with what this rotation can give you is that you get a performance like that. You get out of game 1, you go, okay, we got the first one. And if you're the opponent, you turn around and you go, oh, we now have to face a guy with our season on the brink, who's probably going to finish in the top 3 of Cy Young voting this year.
Totally.
Great.
Yep, exactly right. And I mentioned this stat after the Padres lost. Since the wild card series has started in 2022, there has never been a team that has won game 1 and lost the series, for what it's worth. Now, crazier things have happened. I don't believe in jinxes, but I'm just throwing that out there. Aaron, I can be convinced Dreyer and Vesia were just off. If this game had to happen for the Pen to wake up, I'm glad it came with an 8-run lead. I like the optimism here, Aaron. I'm not sure that this is like a wake-up moment. If the bullpen should be awake after the week and a half, 2 weeks that they've had. But I'm with you. Again, Dreyer comes in with a 1 out and the bases loaded. If you tell me he's getting out of that with 1 run scored, every single one of us would take it. To Anthony's point, it didn't necessarily look pretty when you walk the first guy. Then you get like a 14-pitch strikeout, and then it's a pop-out. But at the end of the day, Dreyer pretty much did his job, especially for a rookie pitching in his first ever postseason game with the bases loaded at home, etc. So, and Vesia has a long enough track record that I hope it's not tomorrow, but the next time he comes in, I'm going to have some confidence. Do you agree with that, Anthony, that both of these guys are guys you're still going to trust when they come in next?
I was just going to say that exact thing. Those are 2 guys I still trust. I don't want to see Vesia tomorrow with you. I don't need him on the second day of a back-to-back. But yeah, in different situations, I'm totally fine with those guys taking the ball.
David says, don't want to gloat, but I will. 10-2 since Dave Roberts left Blake Snell in to finish that inning. Just saying. So David, hey, we'll take it. Hopefully that number continues to rise. Joseph, bullpen continues to embarrass. Hopefully the offense can keep it going and Yoshi can shove tomorrow. Robleski should have gotten the last 6 outs. It hadn't crossed my mind, Anthony, but the point you made about Robleski that Joseph makes here makes a ton of sense to me. Like, why would you not just go to your strike-throwing, multi-inning guy, let the bullpen rest, get out of this game, and then live to fight another day? There's not a compelling answer for that. Robleski's good, too. Like, it's not like he sucks. Yeah. Like, it... Anyways, I don't know. I'm baffled. I don't have a good answer. Hopefully Dave gets asked that question in the postgame.
Yeah, and let's say the bad situation happens and you somehow lose game 2, you can empty out your bullpen because there's a days off coming. Like, it made too much sense almost, I guess.
Yeah. 300 says Ohtani's second bomb just landed in my backyard. That thing, the sound that thing made coming through the TV was another level.
Not a lot of balls end up that high up in the pavilion. That was just demolished. Well,
and somebody in my mentions pointed out that like the 2 home runs that Ohtani hit, one had like a max, like a vertical moment. I forget the apex. Apex was like 50 feet off the ground, and the next one was like 175 feet off the ground. I mean, talk about 2 completely different shapes of home runs.
I know you didn't get to see it, Jeff, but the first home run was an absolute missile line drive.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Someday I'll catch it. Someday.
What's up with the commercials while the game is happening?
I have so many thoughts. Like, we cut down to Alden Gonzalez seems like a nice guy. Like, I don't need 18 cut-ins from my sideline reporter in a baseball game. Like, I'm good, bro. Like, give me 2 of those a night and then interview Dave and we'll call it good. Okay. Like, you don't have to work so hard.
Yeah.
Jay Teaser, I think it's safe to say Teo switch flipped. Look, this was the debate with this team. right? And with individual guys, but also collectively,
Sure.
can they just turn it on when they need to? As David points out, they're 10-2 in their last 12. Teo looks like a different guy. Freddie Freeman started to hit some home runs. Mookie Betts has obviously been much better. Like, it's one game plus some regular season games, but if right now, like, we were all forced to decide, has this team flipped the switch, yes or no? Like, I don't know how you would argue no based on what we've seen over the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'm with you. It looks like it's the real thing.
Let's hope. Dogs, Dodgers, and Detours. Snellzilla destroys Cincinnati. Yeah, I mean, look, he was absolutely fantastic. Niles, sorry, I think you did this one before, and I don't know if I pronounced your name right. So we'll go with Niles. San Diego recipe: take early lead, turn over to bullpen. Dodgers recipe: shove a doozy, crush opposing pitchers, and hope it will be enough. I feel happy and distraught. It's fantastic.
Fair way to put it.
Yeah. Padres did lose today. Terrible thing. Poor San Diego losing today. But yeah, it just, score 10 and hang on for dear life, baby. Welcome to the Dodgers of 2025. Robert adds, by the way, Padres lost, some celebration emojis. It's a beautiful thing. Blew a lead, 1-0. The runner on second, does Enriquez have blackmail on Doc? I just don't think they had a ton of great options. But again, I think Kasparius, Bonda, they've got to feel good about their chances of making a playoff roster if this thing gets to the NLDS. Clayton Kershaw, too. Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Carlos, Muncy not even scary at the plate anymore. This was one sort of under talked about thing, Anthony, that I think is real. Max Muncy has not looked good. We know he's been banged up, hasn't been playing consistently or much at all. Thankfully, Teoscar carried the weight today with no Will Smith in the lineup. They're going to need Max Muncy at some point, and tonight he just didn't look right.
Yeah, I think it's going to fly under the radar for the most part because they pounded the ball as a team. Those were some pretty uncompetitive at-bats that he took.
Yeah, absolutely. And
which is very unlike him.
Totally. And I mean, Miguel Rojas comes in and immediately gets a hit. So I'm not saying Muncy needs to come out of the game. If anything, let him hit through it and hope that it doesn't matter. But that's a guy between him and Will Smith. It feels like you need one of those two guys to be right by the time you get to the NLDS if this thing is going to be firing on all cylinders. Again, especially with the bullpen, the way that it pitched tonight. Let's look ahead real quick to game number 2, Anthony. Lodolo expected to be on the mound for the Reds. Yoshinobu Yamamoto for the Dodgers. Obviously, getting game 1 under your belt, the victory feels great. There's confidence that Yamamoto can go out and do exactly what Blake Snell just did because this Reds lineup, as we saw tonight, is just not very good. The offense, no reason to believe they can't do the same thing. I know Lodolo, we talked about this the other day. I know Lodolo had a bunch of strikeouts against the Dodgers in his first outing, 11 strikeouts and 5 1/3. But in 2 starts total, 10 innings, 6 earned runs that he gave up to the Dodgers. I mentioned Hunter Green, as good of a pitcher as he had been, the Dodgers got to him. Well, guess what? They got to him again tonight. I see no reason that the offense can't jump out early again tomorrow. I'm not saying it's going to be 8-0 necessarily, but I like the way that this game played out as far as feeling good about tomorrow.
Yeah, it's Little going tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay.
Not Lodolo.
Got it.
But I'm with you.
Even better.
Exactly. Yes, I'm with you. I don't see any reason why they can't duplicate, that sort of dominance. Even if they don't score 10 runs, I think they're going to be able to get into that bullpen pretty early. Look, we said on Sunday, we both think the Dodgers can win this thing in 2, but it's a 3-game series. It's a bad bounce or 2 away from all of a sudden it's in game 3, and then who knows, right?
Yeah.
I feel very, very pleased with what happened tonight and going into game 2 that they can close this thing out. I'm confident in that. I just don't think Cincinnati has the weapons to shut down the entire offense. And I don't think they have the weapons in their lineup to really make Yamamoto to him be a candidate to get knocked out early in this thing. Like, crazy things have happened, and if it happens, it's gonna, it is what it is. But the odds are stacked against Cincinnati to do those things.
Yeah, I'm with you. Zach Littell, by the way, I mean, you go through his game log this year. I I don't know how many he's made 32 starts for the Reds. How many times do you think he's allowed 0 earned runs, Anthony? In 32
0.
starts. One time. One time in 32 starts. Over his last 10 starts, it's a 4.39 ERA, it's a 4.77 WHIP, a sub 7 strikeouts per 9. I mean, he doesn't walk anybody. He's got that going for him, but yeah, this is a good matchup for the Dodgers, and that was on me for not knowing, for mistaking Lodolo and Littell here. But yeah, again, right-hander, 6'4", 250, but one time in 32 starts, he's allowed 0 earned runs this year.
Let me ask you this. Do you think, like, let's say Yamamoto gives them 6 solid, maybe he gives up a run, maybe he gives up 2, but maybe they go into the 7th inning with like a 3-run lead, let's call it.
Yeah.
You think they just turn it over to Emmett Sheehan? Is that a thing that feels realistic at this point?
I think so. I don't think you have anybody you feel great about. I think Vesia was probably the one guy, and he just pitched. I think Treinen, I've said all along, throw out the ERA. I'm just going to believe in that guy come postseason. First 2 pitches, not close. After that, we saw some old Blake Treinen velocity come back, and he started dotting some pitches, getting a couple strikeouts. But he's a guy that you could go back-to-back with in Treinen, and I think you would feel fine about it. But, yeah, I don't see why you wouldn't trot Emmett Sheehan out there for the 7th or the 8th and just see what happens. See how it looks, and if it needs to be 1 inning, then great. But if he gets through the first, why not? Like, if it's 3 runs, that's the type of player that I want to see, because I've said he's like the 2nd most trustworthy reliever. I kind of got laughed at a couple weeks ago when I said that of all the relievers, it's Vesia 1 and it's Sheehan 2 for me, and Blake Treinen might be 3. Like, let's just see what it looks like. He's going to throw strikes. He's going to get swing and miss, and they're going to need him at some point.
Yeah. I mean, I would be totally fine if that felt like that was what the game plan ended up being. And I'm with you too. I think, like, he's a guy that you can still play it by ear. He gets out of the first, he gets the first 3 outs in 12 pitches. All right, you're going to go. Basically, now we're just counting outs for you until it looks like we got to go somewhere else. The ball's yours.
Totally.
But yeah, I just, curiosity, because, like, does anybody, including Dave, feel confident with the a 3-run lead and you turn the ball over to Tanner Scott?
Well, I mean, I think it was I interviewed Fabian and Bob Nightingale, and I believe it was Bob Nightingale who said he thinks they're going to go back to Tanner Scott if there's a safe situation, which I'm deeply hoping that's a national guy who is not plugged into the local beat who's saying something like that. And I don't mean that as disrespectful to Bob, but I'm just like crossing my fingers and hoping that he's saying that more out of assumption than he is information, because if it's 3-2 in the 9th and they hand the ball to Tanner Scott with like Emmett Sheehan or Roki Sasaki or whoever just sitting right next to him, this place is going to lose their mind.
I'm afraid he's right.
Yeah.
Because of what we saw tonight.
Yeah. Right. I think it's a great point. I was having this thought. The reason you bring Vesia in early is because you don't plan on bringing Vesia in late. Right? Like, Vesia's in a 10-2 game because you have him slotted as like the first guy you're bringing out of the bullpen in that situation. Yeah. Not because, I'm going to use him to close if it's close, and, change of plans, throw him in the 8th. Like, it's a different deal.
Yeah. So. Yeah. And I thought, look, maybe Dave didn't, like, I could imagine his answer would be like, he would say, okay, hey, Tanner Scott, big cushion there. Why not bring him in? Like, I think part of his thinking might be, I don't want to put that in his mind that he is not a leverage guy anymore in game 1 of the playoffs, even though he probably should not be a leverage guy, right? Like, at this point. And so that tells me, like, the fact that he probably didn't even think about Tanner Scott in a game that was a blowout, tells me that, he might be in there in the 8th or 9th inning of a 1-run game, 2-run game. And that's scary, I think, for everybody.
Yeah. One note, Kike Hernandez came out of this game early. It was reported that he had back tightness. Dave Roberts has clarified post-game he will be in the lineup again tomorrow. Tommy Edman was just precautionary, get him off his feet because the game was where it was at. So no surprises with those two, but good news on Kike. And, I mean, look, Geektober, like this is a guy that just performs, and we were kind of like, we know he was going to have a moment at some point. We were both surprised it was starting game 1 of this series, but the guy just continues to deliver.
He does. Yeah. He's earned that spot for a reason.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Real quick, like the Conforto news, we talked Bonda earlier. We were both surprised. I would say, as I pointed out multiple times on social media, I was not mad. I was not sad about Conforto. I was just surprised. Like, I'm not going to go to bat and die on a hill for a guy that's had the season he had, but I was surprised because I don't understand why Justin Dean's on this roster. I'm going to be perfectly honest about that. I didn't think Alex Call necessarily had a role on this roster. I was wrong on both of those counts. But what was your reaction to Conforto being left off?
I was surprised. I was pretty surprised by that one on the position player side for sure. I think I did not see any prediction of a playoff roster, of a wild card series roster for the Dodgers that did not have Conforto.
Yeah.
And it was really, really interesting that they gave him a leash basically from opening day until the final series of the season.
Yeah.
And then said, okay, you're done now.
And he hit well. Like he hit well over the last 5 weeks of the season too, is the funniest part. Like it wasn't like he was in the midst of a slump.
Right. I did not see that coming at all. That was clearly, in my opinion, a decision that had been made a while back.
Totally.
Whether that's days or a week or two before. That's not one that they decided yesterday when they were penciling this thing out on some paper. I think they had that thing, in their pocket already. The Dean and Call stuff, I was a bit surprised with what
you had. Call
I'm surprised by Conforto. I got to be surprised by the counter move, right? And so that they carried both those guys. I had Call on my roster when we talked about this on Sunday. I was surprised that they then went for sort of like two of those guys.
Yeah.
But I do understand. For a guy who is basically, if you're not going to start him against right-handed pitching in Conforto, then he's got absolutely zero value on the roster.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to pinch hit a guy who's not in the lineup because he can't hit.
Yeah.
He's not a defensive replacement and he's slow. Yeah. So
on this team, he might be an upgrade off the bench offensively compared to the rest of the guys they have now. But to your point, like, he's not going to be a late inning. If Will Smith is your pinch hitter off the bench, then Conforto doesn't have a role. Right.
Agree. And so, like, in the playoffs, especially in games that are tighter, guys who can go catch it and guys who can go first to third or first to home on a double or steal a base if you absolutely need something like that have a lot more value than Conforto would have offered in this lineup if he's not a starting outfielder.
Yeah. Again, and Justin Dean, like, he's good defensively. I know that the limited sample we've seen him has not been good. Like, he overdives the ball and doesn't make a play, which was a tough play. But at the same time, I'm kind of like, dude, if you're the defensive replacement, like, this is a play I kind of need you to make.
Yeah, you should catch that. Yeah.
And you've got Ha-Seong Kim sitting right there if you need a pinch runner. So it seems redundant to me, but I also said I really don't care who the 26th man on this roster was. And so I'm going to stand by that.
Yeah, and I also think, because I was thinking about this today when I was listening in the car to Scott and Blake sort of break down the roster. But, like, if you're only going to carry one of those guys and you're going to make that swap, then that guy basically has to come in for an outfielder. I think if you carry two guys who have that skill set, they have three now if you count Kim, but that guy can now come in for Benny Rowe if he gets on base late in the game, right? And you're not burning a catcher, and you also still have another guy who can come in for Teo or somebody like that. So I understand the thinking there. I'm not mad at that. But yeah, the Conforto situation was surprising because they basically just did a 180 on what they'd been doing for 6 months with them.
Yeah, absolutely. Still waiting on some post-game quotes. I know right here on the Dodger Blue YouTube page, we've already got Dave Roberts' press conference up, as well as one other person that had spoken already. So make sure you check that out as soon as we are done in a little bit, but we might be able to get some Dave Roberts quotes before this thing is over. So stay tuned on that. Let's get to some more super chats. Then we'll get to some questions. Gabriel, and that's all she wrote. Game over. Dodgers win, baby. 1 down, 12 to go. Go Dodgers. This is the headline. Like all of us 5 hours ago would not have asked a ton of questions if you said Dodgers are going to win. Like, I don't care how we get there, good, bad, or ugly. Let's just win and let's just get out of this stupid 3-game series and see what happens. So Gabriel reminding us they've accomplished that. VAD TV, super chat. Sorry we didn't get a question there. If you want to leave a question in the chat, we'll do our best to get to it here in a second. Sukraj, y'all know Yoshi ain't getting run support tomorrow. This is different. Playoff Yoshi, different. 10 runs tomorrow, again, for Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Anthony, maybe they can make up for the entire season of failing him in one day tomorrow. How about that?
They owe him at least an entire month, so they better do it for every start he has in October.
That's great. It's great. 300, not thrilled to hear Mr. October's back is stiff. Again, Dave Roberts has indicated Kike Hernandez expected to be fine. We'll be back in the lineup.
Yeah,
tomorrow.
that feels like it was probably precautionary also.
For sure. Jay Teaser, I think Dave thought Vesia would step on throats. I'm sure he did. Maybe this was hey, we want no confidence. We want no like late inning rally to make them believe they're in it. But we shared our thoughts on why we didn't love that decision. So go ahead. Joe
Man with the great comment. My wife, why are you pissed that they won?
Yeah, exactly. Sounds about right. Juan, Trinan looked awesome. What if we are all wrong and Scott looks good too this postseason? Let's hope. Let's pray. Like, again, there was reason to believe in Trinan. We have not really seen any glimpses of reason to believe in Tanner Scott. But hey,
I mean, I think that the same thought process that leads people to think that Trinan is still trustworthy and Trinan can be good, I think still holds for Scott. He hasn't done it as a Dodger, but he's only been a Dodger for one game of the postseason so far. And so he was great last postseason against the Dodgers. The Padres only made it to one series.
Yeah,
but he was great in how they used him. Dominant. It's why other teams were after him in the winter, and it's why the Dodgers gave him the deal that he got. And so if we're going to say look, yes, Trinan's ERA started with the 5 this season, but he was a dog last year, and I think he can do it again. That same logic can hold, I think, for Tanner Scott. Will he do it? And are we doing a lot of, are we injecting a lot of hopium? For sure. Absolutely.
To me, and maybe this is like me wanting to believe, I felt like with Trinan, I at least saw glimpses of peak Trinan. And it may have been like 1 out of every 3 outings kind of a situation. Like, as Scott's pointing out in the chat, like the best that we had with Tanner Scott was like a 4-game stretch where he didn't allow a run, and he basically just punted his fastball for a week. And that was the best we saw of it, which wasn't sustainable. So maybe I'm wrong and you could correct me, but I felt like with Trinan, I at least saw glimpses of like, oh, that's the guy, the sweeper's missing bats and the sinker's, moving like a Frisbee. Whereas with Scott, I just never saw him dominate as a Dodger.
Yeah. And that's totally fair. When those times that Trinan was good, I didn't always trust it either, because it would be like the next 2 outings he would walk the ballpark or give up a home run.
Totally.
And
it wasn't consistent for sure.
Yeah. And so it was like, can he be good or can he be dominant for an outing? Absolutely. And I actually believe that about Scott too. Like, he's capable of going out there and going 1-2-3 with 2 Ks. If he has 5 appearances over the course of 10 games in the postseason, am I confident his ERA is going to start with the 1? Absolutely not. And
that's because you think it's going to start with a 0, right?
Gosh, we hope so. But I feel that way about both those guys right now. Like, look, man, I'm as big a fan as anybody. You don't have to do a whole lot right now to get me to believe in you again. And, I'm coming around on Trinan because the way he's looked the last couple of outings. So, here we go. Strap in.
And with those vets, I want to believe they can find it quicker, right? Like with Enriquez, none of us have confidence that a guy like that is just going to wake up in the playoffs and be able to find it. Tanner Scott, Blake Trinan, guys who have been around, who have been in that spot before, have had huge moments. Maybe it's just hopium, but you want to believe that it's possible.
Yeah.
Rosemary, Dodgers win, Yankees lose, Padres lose. It's a good day. Absolutely. That Yankees game, again, I'm sure a bunch of Dodger fans caught the end of it as the Dodgers game was starting. Yeah. The Yankees down 2 runs. They load the bases with no outs in the bottom of the 9th and then proceed to get 3 consecutive outs. So I was texting our guy Moreno. I said, your boy Beltober up as the go-ahead run in the bottom of the ninth, gets a single, only a single, and the Yankees do nothing with it. So, yeah, that was ugly. I'm not rooting for Aroldis Chapman or the Yankees, so it's just like my daughters keep looking at me like, who are we rooting for? I'm like, who cares? Neither of them. Franco says, why is Bonda not playing? The best answer I can give you is two things. One, they've got a million lefties that they like a little bit more, apparently. And secondly, he can't get righties out. They kill him. It's like an 800 OPS against righty this season. And so in a postseason where you're going to have to face three guys at a time and there could be pinch hit opportunities and whatnot, they just didn't like Bonda. And look, I think there's a decent chance they change their mind before the NLDS. So we'll see.
Look, I think that's probably, I don't think it's a mind-changing situation. I think it's he's going to be on the roster if they play the Phillies.
Okay.
You know, they look at that lineup and look at what their lefties look like and who they are. Like, they get past the Reds, I think he's in there. And I think that's probably a decision. I don't think it's a decision where someone has to be so bad that they're off the roster going into the next series. Yeah. I think it's a situation where, looking at the Reds lineup, we probably don't need another lefty. Anthony Bonda, hang out for a little bit, stay hot. And then we get past this thing and you're back with us, because that other team is going to have some lefties that we're going to need to get out in big spots.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, the Reds are pretty bad against lefties. You've also got Clayton Kershaw hanging around, and depending on what they decide to do with him. I think it matters if this series goes 2 games or 3 games. Might depend on if what his role is and if he's even on the roster.
Yeah, that's true too. And I think for the Reds, and yes, they are bad against lefties, but they also don't have a lot of left-handed hitters.
That's true.
Where Bonda is the specialist.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's a good point. And guys that it's you're not going to pinch hit somebody out of that spot to get a righty against Bonda, which I think is a fair point. So we'll see. There are going to be a lot of interesting decisions, because my guess is, to your point, they will add an extra pitcher of some sort. And so if Enriquez comes off and a guy like Casparius replaces him, then what they do with Kershaw, what they do with Bonda, what they do with, Michael Conforto even. I don't think there's a ton that is set in stone because of some decisions they made in this wild card series. Yeah,
totally. I could see them not carrying both Justin Dean and Alex Call. I could see them not carrying
3 catchers if Will Smith.
I was Benny Rowe, rushing and Will Smith, all in the same series. So I think there's going to be some things that are going to be adjusted. I think, look, they figured if all things go well, this is just 2 games. And we can get away with some maybe surprising roster decisions against the Reds. Yeah, absolutely. Still checking to see if we got any quotes. No quotes coming through yet. Let's get to some questions. All caps questions. Throw those in the chat. Again, this is DodgerHeads presented by DodgerBlue.com. If you're new here, we are live after every postseason game. So go ahead, click the subscribe button down below, ring the notification bell. We've got a live show with Scott Gierman, who's in the chat, at 10 a.m. on weekdays. He will be in here. We have another person coming in. Jeff Erickson of RotoWire will be on with me tomorrow morning. That's going to be recorded, reacting to game 1 and then previewing game 2. He works for RotoWire, so he covers MLB nationally. He also happens to be a Reds guy, so he knows his team very well, and I'm curious to get his thoughts. It was risky scheduling that interview before knowing how game 1 was going to go, but I feel a lot better about it. So that'll be up on our YouTube channel sometime either in the early afternoon or late morning. But let's get to all caps questions. Throw those in there. Scooter, is Vesia cooked to be used again? I wouldn't say cooked, Anthony. I don't love the idea of him pitching tomorrow, but I'm not going to hate the next time he comes in, I don't think. Yeah, I think they stay away from him just because, one, it was a rough outing and he threw a lot of pitches, and so maybe he's down anyway. But you don't want to see him on back-to-backs. The second day of a back-to-back for him is not great. So I don't think he's cooked. If this series happened to go 3 games, I think you could see him in game 3. I think they may try to stay away from him though tomorrow. Yeah, I'm with you. 22 pitches, and again, he just has scared me every time they go back-to-back. Hawaiian Kira, prediction for tomorrow. Yama, 7, 1 run. And I think they win it 5-1, 6-1. Okay. I was good. For some reason, I got 5-3 in my head, which sounds stressful already. So I apologize to everybody in advance for even putting that out. So you got the Pen giving up 2 runs in that situation. I got them going clean.
Yeah, the bullpen shutting it. Maybe it's 7 innings 2 for Yamamoto, and the bullpen just comes in and lights it up. Who
There you
knows? Obi-Wan, do you think Yoshi is left to pitch 100 plus tomorrow? On one hand, yes, because they're going to want to win this game, and chances are pitches 90 through 110 from him are better than whoever's coming out of the bullpen. The
Yeah.
flip side is, keep in mind they are playing the long game here, and they're going to want Yamamoto to be peak performance the next time he takes them out, assuming there is a next time.
If there's a thing to say is fortunate about being in this wild card series, it's that the way the days off play out, like in this series and going into the next one in the first couple of games there, is beneficial. So I think they can give him a longer leash in this start.
Yeah. Franco asks, why can't Bonda be our closer? For one, he's not on the roster. For two, we've said this multiple times. He can't get right-handed hitters out. So that's the short answer there. And again, Anthony made the great point. This Reds team is very interchangeable. Except for a couple of guys, they're not afraid to pinch hit for anybody in this lineup. And so other than like Ellie De La Cruz, there isn't a ton of guys that are going to come out depending on which side the guy on the mound is throwing from. So let's see. Noisy Ninja, maybe you talked about Dave saying the relievers are pitching scared already, but why would they be pitching scared? I'm so confused. Is it just a confidence thing, do you think, Anthony? Like, is it just the doomsday mentality of we have been so bad for so long, we're broken, like almost like the yips, sort of?
A little bit like that. It's not totally off from that. I think how I took it when he said that was guys are not attacking hitters.
Yeah.
Why? What's that?
Why are they not attacking hitters, do you think?
Sometimes those struggles can be contagious, even for guys who might not be struggling so much, and feeling like, man, I got to be perfect because if Tanner Scott or Kirby Yates has to come in behind me, like this thing could all blow up. I think there is maybe a little bit of that, but also just like, especially for the guys who had been struggling, not wanting to throw the ball in the zone and trying to nibble. And when you're already struggling, nibbling's typically not going to work.
Yeah. Because
guys are waiting for you to come into them before they start swinging. And then you just, you get Tanner Scott or Blake Trinan or whoever might be struggling at that time, walking 3 of the 4 guys that they face.
Yeah. I think
that's how I took it.
Yeah. I think I'm with you. It's the idea that you just believe if I throw this over the middle of the plate, it's going to end up in the bleachers. Right. And so you're so afraid to throw strikes that you then pretty much probably just become incapable of throwing strikes. So I think it's a mentality thing would be my answer. Jay Teaser, if game 2 is close and the heart of the order is due up, who would you close with? You kind of answered this already. Is your answer Emmett Sheehan? Yeah,
I would go Sheehan. I think if it's a matter of, like, let's say it's not Sheehan in the 9th inning, and it's a close game, 1 run, 2 runs, and they're like, you know what, we have a chance to end this series right now. I think it could be Glasnow.
Oh, I would hate that. I'm going to be honest. I don't even think he's a sure thing to be awesome. Like the stuff is great, but he's never gone out of the bullpen. And right. I just hate the idea of not having him available in the next round. I hate it.
I agree. I do. I'm not a fan of that exactly for the reasons that you just said. I think their thinking could be if he only goes 1 inning, he's available to start, like, let's say game 2.
That's fair. Because they would have if they close it out tomorrow, they would play Saturday.
They would have Shohei to pitch game 1.
Yeah.
And so I think this could be their line of thinking, because otherwise, why is he on the roster?
Yeah. Starting to get some quotes from Dave Roberts. Asked about the bullpen not attacking enough in the 8th inning. This is via Dodger Blue. Matt Moreno is at the stadium covering this for us. Quote, it's very clear to me when you're on the attack, those guys are on their heels with the lead we have. When you start being too fine and getting behind, you start giving them free bases, and that's how you can build innings and get momentum. That's what I saw in that inning there for sure. So kind of exactly what we talked about. You're just getting too fine. You're trying to be cute, and it backfires on you. So, so you, by the way, so to answer this question, Sheehan is who you would close with. I think Roki Sasaki's an interesting name. And the other name that I'll just throw out, like, there's one guy who we've seen effectively shut down a game at the end, and it's Justin Robleski. Like, he came in with a runner on second in the ghost runner, and he threw freaking strikes, and he threw hard, and he wasn't afraid. And so against a team that struggles against lefties, don't count him out.
While the Dodgers were still playing for something, and while the Diamondbacks were still playing for something too, that was a really high leverage situation they used him in. I'd be totally fine if they did that with him. If I had my druthers, if I said like everything is going smoothly, the counting out situation is going in their favor, who is my guy? I think my top choice is still Sheehan.
Yeah, I'm with you. You. I think it's Sheehan or Robleski, and you could probably talk me into Roki Sasaki as well after tonight. Vinny has a good question. You've ranked the bullpen regarding your level of trust. How about level of distrust after what we saw tonight? Is Edgardo Enriquez the guy that you want to see coming out of that bullpen the least?
Yes. I think based on who's on this roster right now, he's a guy I could not see anymore and be totally fine. I trust him less than Tanner Scott. I think easily. For me, that's an easy one. Because I do still think that Tanner Scott is capable of getting some swing and miss, and I think he's capable still of being dominant against left-handed hitters at least. I don't see Enriquez being dominant against anybody, and he's struggled with swing and miss stuff.
Yeah. Mamad, up by 8 runs, how does the bullpen come out scared? It's a great question. I mean, I will say Enriquez, no matter what the score is, you come into a game with the bases loaded. I mean, he kind of made the mess himself. Like, I can see why you pitch scared with the bases loaded, regardless of how many runs you're up. But I think the question is a fair one, and there's no excuses, obviously, for what this group did.
I think for some of those guys, too, I say some, in this 8th inning, Enriquez, I think he knows he's pitching for his job in the next round.
Yeah.
And so that's going to add some leverage that might not be there, at least in your mind, right?
Yeah. Hustler asks, why not let Snell go deeper? Should we expect short outings from Yamamoto? I think they would have let Snell keep pitching, but he gave up 2 runs in that 7th inning, and he looked like a diminished version of himself. Yeah, and so that wasn't a pitch count. That wasn't a protective thing. He just wasn't very good in the 7th. Yeah,
agree. I think that had he gotten out of there clean, I think they totally would have let him get into the 8th inning.
Franco asks, Dodgers, Phillies, who wins? Nightingale has the Dodgers in 5, by the way, with Zach Wheeler out. He thinks the Dodgers are better. That was before today's game. I don't know if today changes anything in your mind. If anything, I'll be honest, Anthony, I'm more confident in the Dodgers after this game than I was coming in. A, because they got through game 1, and B, because the offense, to me, was the question. The bullpen was like a slightly crappier version than what I expected. The rotation was exactly what I expected. It was the offense, to me, that was the X factor.
The Phillies starting rotation doesn't scare me at all. And I thought the Dodgers handled their best guys really well when they were in LA. The bullpen blew those games. Otherwise, I think the Dodgers could have swept that series, if they had just a halfway decent bullpen. So yeah, I still think I would say like Dodgers in 6. I think the starting pitching is too good. And I don't think that rotation, even for like some of the run prevention numbers that some of those guys have thrown up, I don't think they can handle the Dodgers lineup when it's clicking.
Yeah. Sanchez, Luzardo, and Suarez, the top 3 guys that they've got as far as on the season, innings pitched and what kind of thing. And but I think one of those guys hurt. Suarez left the game in the last one. So who knows? But yeah, I like the Dodgers offense in that one.
And they faced 2 of those guys, I think, in that series, and they hit them well.
Yeah, I am not looking ahead at all. I've done no research on the Philadelphia Phillies. I'm just keeping my eyes on the prize in front of me, taking nothing for granted. All right. Eden, will Shohei actually start game 1 against Philly? They can't save him forever. He hasn't started the 23rd. I think Shohei Ohtani will definitely start the Dodgers' 3rd playoff game, whether that is game 3 of the wild card or game 1 of the NLDS. I think that's a really safe bet. If they can get out of this in 2, then I think that keeps them from needing to pitch Clayton Kershaw as a starter, because then you can go Ohtani and Glasnow, and then you can get your top 2 guys, Snell and Yamamoto, back on normal rest. So I think that's the dream scenario, and maybe Kershaw's around as break glass in case of emergency. But if they get through in 2, I would still predict that Ohtani's their game 1 starter, right?
Agree. I agree.
They want him with the day off. They want him with the day off after, which they would get after game 1.
Which I think also lines him up in that series to possibly pitch game 5 with the day off after game 5 also.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
Again, I haven't done the math, but I know there's a bunch of random days off in the NLDS.
Yeah, I could be wrong on that math, but I think that's what it comes out to. So he would be able to pitch twice in that series with days off after both games. And I'm with you. The ideal situation is that they do that and they don't need to put Kershaw into the scheduled starters bucket, and which possibly leaves him as another leverage arm out of the bullpen.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So there you go. Dodgers win game 1. Again, beautiful and then ugly and ultimately still pretty in the end. 10-5, the Dodgers win. Teoscar Hernández, 2 home runs. Shohei Ohtani, 2 home runs. Blake Snell, an absolute gem through 7 innings for him. The Dodgers bullpen tries its hardest to cough this one up, tries its hardest to ruin our night, but still fails as the Dodgers grab game 1 of the wild card series. As one of the commenters pointed out, the Dodgers win, the Padres lose, the Yankees lose. Good day all around for Dodgers fans. Anthony, thank you so much for hopping on. I will be back tomorrow night, by the way, with Daniel Starkin post game. Hopefully we've got brooms in our hands and we're celebrating a 2-game sweep and focusing on the Phillies. But Daniel Starkin and I will be back tomorrow night. Again, Scott Gierman will be live on this channel at 10 a.m. tomorrow with DodgerHeads Unplugged. We will have an interview with Jeff Erickson of RotoWire as well at some point tomorrow. So thank you to everybody hopping in. Almost 4,000 people in here with us celebrating the Dodgers' first playoff win. We appreciate you. To everybody watching Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, thank you. To the podcast people, thank you. Apple, Spotify, Google, the DodgerHeads podcast. If you're not a podcast person, just go find your podcast app, find the DodgerHeads podcast, subscribe, rate, review. We'd greatly appreciate that. Subscribe, ring the notification bell here on YouTube as well. Dodgers win, 1-game lead in the wild card series. Yamamoto on the mound tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your night, everyone. As always, go Dodgers. And yes, still champs.